Hello, my crafty friends. Well, today I have some fun little card ideas that I want to share with you that feature a great way to use up your scrap pattern paper or your scrap cardstock. Hi, it's Lynn Dunn from Stamptastic Designs. Thanks so much for joining me today. In this episode of Stamptastic TV, I have 3 different ways that you can use your scrap papers to create some scrappy strip card designs. Now the cards feature the For the Record stamp set from Stampin' Up. And the cards also feature the 5 new in colors from the 2022-2024 in color collection. So these new colors will be coming out next week. I'm super excited about that. So that means that my in-color card making club will be starting up next week. So if you haven't reserved your spot, please do so before the end of this month. The doors will close on May 1st, so you have until April 30th to reserve your spot. Otherwise, you'll have to wait until next year. So we certainly don't want that to happen. You can find more information about the In Color Club and you can reserve your spot by clicking on the link featured in the description below this video. Okay, so let me show you how to make these fun little designs. Okay, so let's start with this particular card design. So this design features some little strips that are 1 inch wide and they are 3 3/4 inches long. So for all the cards that I'm sharing today, we are going to be using the same size card base. So this is just your standard card base. So it's 5.5 by 8.5 and it's scored down the middle at 4 1/4 inches to create the base of the card. So the first thing you need to do is you need to cut 5 strips of either pattern paper or cardstock, whatever you want to use. I'm just using the 5 new in colors. So you want to cut 5 strips, and each of these strips, as I mentioned, are 1 inch by 3 3/4 inches. So you just want to arrange them on your card front. I like to arrange them first so that I have an idea of where I'm going to adhere them. So they're all going to be adhered side by side, and there'll be a nice little white space, kind of like a matting all around the pieces. So that looks about right. So we'll start adhering them one by one. So I like to work from left to right, but whatever's comfortable for you. So you want to get your first piece on there, and that will guide the rest of your pieces. And then you're just going to adhere them side by side all the way across to just create a fun little background for the card. Now these in colors are just absolutely gorgeous. I just love how they work together. You can see they work really well together. All right, and here is the last one. So once you have all your pieces adhered to the background, then you can just go ahead and decorate it. So for this card, what I did is I stamped this little record onto a piece of black cardstock. And so I did a little bit of heat embossing. So I don't know if you can see the shininess to it. But I stamped the image on there, and then I used the clear embossing powder so that it just kind of gave it a subtle shimmer and shine. So once I embossed it, then I just cut it out with one of the layering circle dies. So this is almost 3 inches in diameter. So, and there is a die in that set that will work pretty well for cutting this out. So then I just went ahead and adhered it to my card front. And there's a little heart shape right in the center of this embossed image here. So I just used one of my old punches, one of my little heart punches, my favorite punch. It is retired, but you can use any heart shape to embellish the center. The next thing I did is just stamped a little greeting on a scrap piece of white cardstock, so it's 1/2 inch wide. And then I just trimmed the end a little bit on an angle. So I added a little bit of glue, liquid glue on the back, and a little dimensional. The dimensional is going to hang off the record, so that's why I added a little dimensional. And the rest of it is just going to lay on top of the record, so that's where your liquid glue is going to be, is right on top of the record. And then I stamped another little sentiment here, so mine says, "For the record, you're awesome." So I stamped this on that new Parakeet Party cardstock, and then I used Starry Sky ink. So that's what I used for this stamping, and this is what I used for this stamping. So I just stamped this on a little scrap piece of this Parakeet Party, and then we'll just add this with a little bit of glue right on top of the record. So it's really a quick and simple card, and it's awesome. So especially for graduations that are coming up, this is a great little card for a graduation. And then for the finishing touch, I just added a couple pearls on the side of the card here. So that's it, just quick and simple and a cute little card, and just a great way to use your pattern paper. And of course, with all of my cards, I create them in both landscape and portrait style. So this one is created in landscape style, and I used some designer paper for my 1-inch strips. And here, this one is created in portrait style, and the only difference is that I changed out my pattern paper to just plain cardstock. So just really cute cards and very simple to create. Okay, the second card I have to share is another way to use just some of those little strips of designer paper. So these strips are 3/4 inches wide. So you're going to start with a 3 3/4 by 5-inch piece of white cardstock. So these strips are 3/4 inches by 3 3/4 inches. So this time we're just going to adhere these pieces directly to our white cardstock. So that gives us a nice little guide because the pieces are cut to the exact same size as the white cardstock. So I'm just going to start from the bottom and work up. So I'm just going to turn it to the side here. So you're just going to basically line up the strips with this white cardstock. Then once you have it lined up, it's easy to adhere the rest of the pieces because they're just going to get adhered directly next to each other. Okay, and so this is what the piece looks like. So now we can go ahead and adhere it to a piece of black cardstock. So this piece is 4 by 5 1/4 inches. Then I'm just going to be using a little bit of Starry Sky ink. So we'll stamp the greeting up on the top part. So now we can go ahead and take our piece and adhere it to a white card base. And I decided to keep the same kind of greeting on that little Parakeet Party cardstock. So I'm popping this up just for a little depth and dimension. And then we'll add our embossed record. So we'll add that right on the front here. And then the last thing I did for this one is just added a little heart right in the center. So again, another fun way to use up some of your strips, and you can do this one the same way. You can use cardstock strips or you can use designer paper. And of course you can create the card in either portrait style like this, or you can turn it and create a landscape style card. All right, and this is the last card idea that I have for you. So this one uses a 1/2 inch wide strip. So we've used 1 inch, 3/4 inch, and now 1/2 inch wide. So for this one, we are again going to start with a 3 3/4 by 5-inch piece of white cardstock. And this time you will cut your little strips into 1/2 inch wide pieces, and you want them 3 3/4 inches long so that they cover the whole entire piece of cardstock. So just one little tip for you, with the last card I cut them exactly, the little pieces, I cut them exactly at 3 3/4 inches. These I just left them a little bit longer It just makes it a little bit easier to line up all the pieces so you don't have any white spots on the ends. And then I'll show you how we can trim it down. So I'm going to adhere these pieces. Okay, so you're basically just adhering them side by side just to create, add a little bit of color across your card and create a fun little background. So now you can see that they're hanging off the edge here. So all I'm going to do is just take my scissors and just trim right along. So this just makes it a little easier instead of trying to line up each piece perfectly. Okay, so now we're ready to adhere this to our black cardstock. So again, this black piece is 5 1/4 by 4 inches. So we'll just adhere this right to that. And then of course we can go ahead and adhere it directly to our card base, our white card base, and then add our decorations. So I have my little record here that is embossed. We'll add that. We'll add a little heart shape here. And then I have my little greeting. So we will add this right about here. And then we'll add the little "You're awesome." And then for the finishing touch, we'll just add a couple little pearls up in the corner here. And that's it. Okay, so there you go. Now you have 3 different ways that you can create little strips of either cardstock or patterned paper to create some fun designs in your card making. And if you enjoyed these cards, feel free to download the printable tutorial. You can find the link in the description below this video. Thanks so much for joining me today. If you enjoyed this video, please let me know by liking it and sharing it with your friends. And leave me a comment below to let me know what you enjoyed most about the video and the cards shared here today. Have a fun and creative day, my friends. Take care.